Hey everyone, how are you? Super excited to share with you guys today how to quickly create a streamlined social media online presence, how to best start your YouTube channel, and how to easily scale your posts on the majority of the platforms so that you don't need a virtual assistant. And then I'm super excited that we have today Loc Nguyen. He is the co-founder of El3ment Studios, that company that I'm always saying, hey, check out our partner. And he's here with us today. We're super excited to have you on the show.
Thank you, John, for having me here. I'm always behind the camera, so this is going to be a little different.
There it is. Now you're seeing the man behind the camera, the creative genius, okay? So stay tuned. This is going to be an episode that you don't want to miss. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Jon Gil podcast show, where we provide real estate investing strategies, how to develop your mindset, and business entrepreneurship techniques. As I mentioned earlier on the show, we have our guest and partner, Loc with El3ment Studios, and go ahead and check them out. They do great corporate photography, real estate, corporate headshots, real estate photography, just amazing work. And actually, I should have let you mention that now that we've got you on the show today, right?
No, it's okay. You're good. You're better with the introduction.
All right, awesome. Well, so as I was mentioning, we want to learn exactly how it is to use social media and create a social media presence. I think a lot of people are stuck when it comes to there's so many different platforms out there. Which is the best one to actually get on? Which is the easiest to, manage? And how to quickly use some of the resources that are out there to efficiently post on a daily basis. So social media is important because, again, it allows you to reach people locally, regionally, and nationally. And Loc, I think if you can just explain a little bit more about that, and going back, explain also about how your company uses social media to build their presence as well.
Well, let's go back to the first question where you said, how do you start? I think the best way is to actually just start, and you'll learn as you go. Because if you try to learn everything then start, it's way too much, and by that time you'll just never start. So, and which platform? I'd say Instagram and Facebook is probably one of the key platforms to put your content on. And you can run ads and they coincide with each other, so that helps out too. And as for like El3ment Studios and where we put our platform is we have a website. We use Squarespace just to kind of show off our portfolio. But it's a very easy drag and drop kind of method. So you don't need to, unless you need something like very complicated done, then you can find that elsewhere. But Squarespace is what we use, and it's what works for us. But with that said, we use Instagram just to extend the reach just a little bit further, and that's all the manpower we have at the moment. So Instagram. Squarespace for like the clean looking portfolio.
Yeah. So you mentioned the clean looking portfolio. How is that any different from, say, Pinterest or some of these other platforms? Why would you use Squarespace versus is Squarespace a platform that any business owner that is trying to showcase not just digital work but would want to use? And
yeah, no, Squarespace is great for not just digital work like photography and video. It's great if you're even like a yoga class instructor. You could schedule things on there, and people can make payment. They're partnered with Square. They could pay through credit card, Visa. It's kind of streamlining the process. So that takes the work out of how do I make a website, out the question. Now you don't have an excuse because you can pay. It's very affordable too. I forgot how much we pay, but they're very affordable, and they streamline everything. So you don't need to know how to code one line.
That's awesome.
But your website looks like you know how to code.
There it is.
So
that's awesome.
That's kind of like the secret, and it's everywhere. everyone uses it. A lot of businesses use it to sell products. You could use it as a landing page also. You don't actually have to just do a portfolio. You can do a landing page for like fitness if you're an instructor or whatnot. Yeah, that's about it. It streamlines everything.
Great. And I think you mentioned that you hit the nail on the head, which is it streamlines it. It's easy. Those are the key, I think, words that most people are looking for that don't have time to really, focus on this full time. And I think what scares a lot of individuals out there is that there are so many different platforms that are out there. Which one do you want to start with first? I think most people at this point in time are on Facebook. Obviously it is the most powerful social network in the world. It has about 2.45 billion users and actually monthly active users. Okay. And there's also about 62 million people active on Facebook today. So, I think most people have gotten a little taste of social media through that platform. But, in business, if you want to build brand awareness and you want something to help build trust and distinguish yourself and allow the consumer to understand who you are on a personal level, I think using these platforms is probably the best approach. Wouldn't you say?
Right. I definitely agree. So going back to the mix and matching platforms, for example, you would use your main website as the landing page to show off like your best kind of work. And then you can also link them to your Instagram or Twitter or other like Facebook, where you do behind the scenes to add emphasis on your initial work. So they see kind of like a personality behind the work, which just adds, like I said before, extra reach. Whether or not, for example, if they're curious on who you are as a person, that might be the selling factor, not just your work. And Instagram allows you to do that.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and so, getting to the practical steps that we mentioned earlier and how to just, start. One thing that I've noticed is, and going back to just having enough time to post on all these different platforms, one thing that I have seen is a great resource is, well, let's just say someone wanting to start their YouTube channel right off the bat, right?
Okay.
I think the biggest challenge that I've heard from the beginning is, putting up their first video. I think, like you mentioned, people overthink things. You hit the nail on the head also earlier when you said just start. And so if we're going to do that and someone is going to set up that YouTube channel, I think one of the other two things that they're always worried about is visually, do they look the part? And, because you see all these fancy Facebook covers, you see the thumbnail art. So one thing that I've noticed that has worked very well is Canva.com, right?
Yeah.
And do you want to share with the audience what that is exactly?
Canva is a free website where you're able to drag and drop photos into presetted templates where it's already professionally made or look like so. And you can just replace those photos with yours, replace the text with your text. And they have it in format for Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I don't know, you name it. You can make your resume on there, and they have some video format I've seen, but it's all done in browser, so you don't even need to download anything except the finished product, and you're able to do it pretty fast because you don't have to think about what font goes together. You don't have to think about like color concept too much to keep with like the brand consistency. It's once again streamline the process. It makes it professional, but it's definitely a good starting point. You might want to like not use it forever, but it's definitely a great starting point to look and feel like you're doing really good quality work.
Yeah, exactly. And Yeah, well, and the beauty too is, it's got the preset dimensions, because again, your your YouTube cover art
Mm-hmm.
is different than your thumbnail cover art.
Right.
And what I like about it is that it allows you to, you just put in there on their search parameters, YouTube cover art, and it will show up with those specific dimensions.
Right.
So that's great. So once you have those thumbnails and you have all that art in place, one thing that I also like to see is, and this has been probably the key tool that I've used specifically for just putting consistent content out there on all the platforms at the same time, and this is kind of like the secret sauce, is a website called later.com. And later.com can integrate Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. So let's say you're just starting off and you want to set up, you can even set up the entire year on later.com. Later.com is free, but they do have different paid levels. And if you want to say, for example, they've got if you have one profile per social platform, and 30 posts per social platform, it's free. And for small business owners, they will allow you to pay, you can go up to their premium at $16 a month. You have 2 profiles per social platform and 250 posts per social platform. So again, this is what we use, what I use. And, on a Sunday, because I'm asked, how the heck are you managing to post every day?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not that you're actually posting every day. It's just that you have all of these already preset.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like to do is, let's say you want those fillers where you can't come up with anything creatively for some reason. You've got these, how it is. Sometimes you get into a little brain fart and you can't think
Mm-hmm.
exactly what it is that you want to post on that specific day. So, on a Sunday, you can go onto Canva, and I like to go onto Google, do like inspiring quotes,
Mm-hmm.
download all those quotes, create a cool background through Canva, and then just preset them onto later.com for the entire, month,
Mm-hmm.
essentially. And that way you'll have consistent content every single day on all platforms. And it looks like you've got an omnipresence. Mm-hmm. You're everywhere, and no one can understand how the heck you're able to be on all these platforms at the same time. Now, the only thing it doesn't have, it does not go to your LinkedIn account. But again, you can take that same Canva post and then just post onto LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you, what would you say about later.com? What's been your kind of feedback there?
No, from what I've seen you've done with it, it's pretty good. You can appear, it's perception. You can appear to be everywhere
Perception,
at the same time.
Keyword, yeah.
But you're actually not, you actually kind of like, work smarter, not harder in that kind of situation. You actually did the work beforehand. It's just a matter of the posting, which this platform helps you do. So use what you have. So take advantage of it.
Absolutely. And so again, that's a great way to get on almost every single platform. And what about TikTok? I mean, how important do you think TikTok is right now for business owners? Do you think that they should be on it? Gary Vee talks about it a lot. We're both huge followers of Gary Vee. In fact, I think that's why we have this channel. Really,
yeah.
He's so big ups to Gary Vee. What's up? Thank you. And what would you say about TikTok? I mean, he pushes it. What would you say?
I think TikTok is great. You just have to know, you have to find your little lane on TikTok. It doesn't have to be, everyone doesn't have to do a dance or whatever to be on TikTok. I see people cooking on TikTok, which is so interesting. I feel like I learn more from TikTok than like college sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, because there's this guy who like does fly fishing.
Okay.
And he shows like 15 seconds of him catching a fish. It took him 15 seconds. And I was like, what? What did you just do? There's people, welding on TikTok. I was like, whoa, I didn't know you could weld like that. Like,
that's awesome.
What's going on?
And you said something important. 15 seconds. That is essentially all that you can record on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Per video?
Yeah. And I think that's, I guess, kind of the format for that platform. Like YouTube, longer format. And if you could summarize your video on YouTube in 15 seconds and put it on TikTok, that'd be even better. So that would like get people interested to go to your YouTube and watch the long format.
Well, and the beauty again of having, TikTok could be a great starting point, as we mentioned about the fillers and like how you can add content during the week. You can actually create that content through TikTok. Now, what I liked about TikTok, I felt like it was easier to use than Instagram, Snapchat. I thought it was just that much easier because you can preset, say, a nice tune, a nice music, and as you and every time you go to record, you stop, you record again, you stop, you record again, you fill that 15 seconds. The music will be consistent throughout, whereas with Instagram, you have to record the video, then you'd have to, like if you were doing a live feed, and then you have to every, I think, 10 seconds go back to the music section and make sure that your song matches the prior 10 seconds. And so sometimes it's a little off.
It is. They're just, it's a different beast. You just have to, it's a different game, ball game, but you just have to learn it and play with it. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, at the end of the day, the TikTok is, okay, it's just another tool that is gaining tons and tons of traction. You've got 800 million users at the moment on TikTok. I mean, it has exploded. But you can take that video and upload it onto Instagram, or take that video, that TikTok video, post it onto later.com. And now you're on TikTok, and then you auto-publish it through later.com onto all the other channels. So now you've posted immediately. You've got one on TikTok. You have Facebook, Insta, Twitter, and Pinterest all being uploaded at the same time. Now, I know Gary Vee also says, yes, it's important to put different types of posts and content given the platform that you're using, right?
Right.
But I think, yes, that's very true. But you also, there's some people that are, I would say 80% YouTube. Some people don't ever go onto Instagram, so at least it's almost a shotgun approach that you're getting to everyone. And then, if you've got extra time, then you can fill in, original content within Instagram, do live views. In fact, I love the live, Instagram posts because then you can also automatically add that to Facebook live videos, right?
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah, you could do a lot. Cross-platform. What we do for you is we film the video, and then that's YouTube, and then we can chop that up into little snippets for Instagram. But then you could post that same little snippets on Facebook, Twitter. You could even do TikTok. I guess you could just drop it on there.
And you hit. You're bringing up such great points. I love it. You said something great, which was the snippets. Right? Now, the beauty of the snippets is, let's explain that. Why, the beauty of the podcasting in general, too, and why I think everyone should do that is because you can create enough content for literally to go on months of footage that you can also post onto your Instagram and all your other channels, right?
Right.
So when we do these videos, we originally said, I think the podcast idea was just, okay, let's do podcast, audio only.
Right.
But you're leaving on the table tons of other valuable content that you can also post on YouTube and in the snippets. Go into how we dissect those snippets and how one video can create an exponential effect on the content.
Right. So we're gonna milk the content basically. So I guess a lot of people does it. They do it. So it's not like, I know some people like, oh, you're like cheating or whatever. I feel if some people feel that way.
Sometimes. Not at all.
I was like, no, not really, because you're just using it all for what it is.
It's highlights.
It's highlights. So we film like an hour episode here. Then we would take that hour video audio recording. Once it's done and edit in the hour form, we can chop that up into like, the highlights. So what's the important key point of it? And we'll just cut straight to it. And then we can just post that. So when people watch that or see it or hear it, that little 10 seconds, and if they're interested, they'll look further into it. I guess that's the whole idea, is to kind of spark interest, evoke some like emotions in people. And then, because emotion is powerful. If you post something that people could relate to, they'll send it to their friends who they think might be related to it, and then they'll look further into it themselves. So you're just kind of leaving like breadcrumbs, and then they'll find the channel when they find the channel. But they can't do that if there's no breadcrumbs.
Right.
So we're just leaving a ton of breadcrumbs in all directions.
I love that. I love that analogy.
So that's the idea. And then we can go even further. We can take like a snapshot we can screenshot of a frame during the video and turn that into a thumbnail. So, that we're just milking it for what it is. Like, for everything.
You're squeezing
the life out of this content.
Exactly. Well, exactly. And the beauty is those snippets then you can post those snippets onto later. And that's actually been the way that, we've kind of set it up where, maybe one day you have an inspirational quote, the following day you've got the snippet, a third day you have another inspirational quote. I know Gary Vee likes to post almost 6 times a day. Yeah. So he's a beast.
He's a different animal.
He's a different animal. Yeah, we're getting there, He's definitely someone to look up to. You need mentors, right? So he's at least my mentor. I know he's probably your mentor as well. Yeah. Of many. And, so how do you edit those? What platform are you, or what software or editing equipment would you recommend?
So I mostly do the audio. You can edit on Adobe Audition. So you can if you're a student, you can just subscribe to the student subscription. They give you a pretty big discount. I think it's like $20 a month.
Oh wow!
For as long as you're a student, I think that's like 4 years of college or whatnot, however long you're a student for. And then after,
well, what do? You have to submit like your
they just ask for like a student ID or something like you just do that like once a year. They ask for like a transcript, so you just send them what classes you're taking.
Okay,
I don't think they really look at it.
I can sign up at one class at a community college, really, and probably submit it, and there you go. Okay,
technically, I think that could work.
Yeah,
and then. So everything
is a budget, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, everything's I've used is Adobe because it's all in the suite and I don't have to think about much. It's one thing, one place. So Adobe Audition for audio, and you can learn how to fix up some audio pretty quickly on YouTube, YouTube University, and then you can edit the video on Adobe Premiere. That's what I use. So I edit the entire sequence. The 1 hour thing in Premiere. Then I make another Premiere file and I cut that up into 15 seconds. And then I export all of that at the same time. So then you get the 1 hour audio. Like I usually export that first, upload it so we can have something out. Then come back another day, cut it all up, export the 10 snippets, and they all come out at the same time.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
So you don't need to sit there, cut, wait. You just cut and then export all at the same time.
That's awesome. So, there we go. I think we're learning a ton of different new resources that people can use. Practical advice that you can start today. If you wanted to start your YouTube channel, you already know how to just quickly come up with some content. If you're having some mental roadblocks, just go to inspirational quotes on Google, at least just to get started. The key here, I think that the theme is just getting started, right? Yeah. And we're laying all these tools out there. And then for people who want to set up their podcast, what we've seen is buzzsprout.com is pretty good. They do have a free trial. You can check it out. And some of their pricing does change. I think it's like $15 a month, depending on the amount of hours that you're uploading. And that has been working pretty well for us at the moment. But, again, Loc, what you mentioned was on that Adobe Premiere, you can also take the audio away from the video, and then that audio can be uploaded to Buzzsprout. And then just, again, going to different platforms that we talked about. Podcasting in and of itself has their own platforms. You've got Apple, right? Apple Podcasts, iTunes. Spotify. And Buzzsprout itself is also a platform.
Yeah, I think Buzzsprout does all that upload for you. Yes. So it's one-stop shop again.
again, it's like another later.com. So Buzzsprout is kind of like, that's the starting point. And then, yes, you're right. It'll then syndicate it out to all those different channels. And, you know, and then your online presence just starts to exponentially grow. And, you know, the end result, or, you know, the end goal really is just, we mentioned it, it's building trust, right? It's improving brand awareness. It effectively reaches your target audience and just builds nice partnerships. And then if you get big enough and you're an influencer, you can also take advantage of some of those perks on, you know, can you explain some of those perks that influencers have? Which sponsorships, collabs.
Collabs, sponsorship. Well, the more presence you have, the more people would want to work with you for their own presence. So then you would get on their fan base, they would get on your fan base, and then it just exponentially multiply.
Exactly.
So it's, But there's a book I read, and Contagious is a book about like why things go viral, basically. And one of the things it was saying how it's like, it's basically you're making a Trojan horse that brings emotional, you know, like emotional reaction to people. It's things they want to know, and then it's basically like things they want to share with people. So if you can hit like most of those points, then it'll eventually, you know, get there on its own.
Yeah, and all of this is really just like a catalyst too, right? To your overall growth, you know, within the industry or the topic that you're covering. And it's the feedback loop, right? Remember we talked about the feedback loop? Yeah, we spoke about it. Yeah, which is, you know, the best feedback loop example would be on YouTube, which is the guy that's dancing out at some rave, and you know it's just one guy dancing kind of crazy, then a second guy goes, then a third guy, and then a fourth person goes. Next thing you know, it turns into this huge snowball of just like they create the just a large group of people. But you know the feedback loop was, you know, started with one, as it gets bigger, it attracts. It's almost like a magnet. Yeah. And then what you're creating through being almost omnipresent through all these social media platforms is you're just targeting such a big audience. And we haven't even talked about LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn is a huge one too. Obviously, that one's professional. So LinkedIn is one that we didn't really talk about yet. And again, you know, if you're going to go into LinkedIn, you want to make sure that it's in a professional setting. Some of the things that you're going to post maybe on your Instagram may not be appropriate for LinkedIn. So that's really the one that I haven't seen any other. If someone can comment below and let us know, maybe they know of a site that can automatically post onto LinkedIn, that would be great. But as of right now, that's one that you kind of keep separate. But again, that one is super powerful, and you know, it's really the most professional networking site. It's the biggest social networking site for business professionals, right? And it's got over 575 million users, more than 260 monthly active users, and of those users who are engaging with the platform monthly, 40% access it on a daily basis. So again, it's a strong one. It's definitely a good one as well. But we haven't really dive deep into that one. But again, that's one that you definitely want to do to just cultivate and grow your different business contacts and relationships. Do you have any feedback on LinkedIn?
Well, LinkedIn is, I have one or two things to talk about. I think it's important to have great photos taken, like professionally taken, edited for LinkedIn, especially as that kind of platform. You don't want like an iPhone photos for, you know, like a big, and you're the face of the brand. So it's a picture's is worth a million words. So, you know, so people are quick to judge whether or not we like it or not, or they agree or not. It is what it is. You see someone on the street dressed a certain way, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you know, I think we're wired to quickly, you know, most people are judgmental. Unfortunately, you know, I think the book that we're reading right now, Thinking Fast and Slow, says a little bit about that. You know, you've got your
System 1,
System 1,
2.
System 2, exactly. And then how one is the logical part of the brain and the other one is more emotional, exactly. And then, which is the slower part. And it's just your first instinct gut reaction. And that's how most people operate, unfortunately. So you're right. You want to maintain that professional presence through, make sure that you're not just taking some random picture on your iPhone.
Right.
Reach out to El3ment Studios. There's,
yes.
And for your photography. I mean, I honestly, you've done great photography for what my channels through our partnership, and I'm telling you, I mean, it has had a huge, I think, positive impact.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
have people actually said something?
I would say, yeah. My wife has said I looked pretty handsome.
Photoshop.
Yeah. My wife liked it, and honestly, that was that's about 80% of the positive impact that I wanted to have. Okay.
That's good feedback.
Yeah. No, but again, it's just having, and of course, I did have hey, we're nice pics, and again, that was thanks to the professionalism of your photography. But you definitely want to maintain that professional image through LinkedIn. Now, last but not least, Loc, is there anything else that we've missed that we haven't got into regarding how someone today, after hearing this episode, can go and take practical steps? I mean, we mentioned Canva.com for your art. We mentioned Later.com, YouTube, YouTube creating. We mentioned podcasting. Excuse me. What else have we?
I think like the overall, the big umbrella of this is you're the brand. No matter what business you're in, fitness, yoga, photography, real estate. They come to you for you. At the end of the day, like you're you, and that's what they want. A million people are doing, the same real estate you're doing, but you have certain clients that come to you specifically, so you're kind of representing that. Because a lot of people think like brand this, brand that, but at the end of the day, you're the brand. So what you do, what you say, who you talk to, who you hang out with, that's the whole thing. Like, okay, yeah, you're doing real estate right now, but then you're gonna go, I see you at this sketchy place. Like, what are you doing? So people, I don't know if people think about that sometimes, but like when you leave the office or whatnot, metaphorically speaking, that's not the end. You're still the brand. If I see you at the store, you're still, people still see you as the brand. So some people don't know, don't turn that off. So you got to be careful what you do, what you say. Well, the whole thing. You got to, image is important, perception. So yeah, and it never goes away, especially with the internet. You gotta be careful. It's good and bad. It keeps you in check.
Absolutely.
But then you gotta think about it a lot. Like, Well,
and it goes back to, I think, again, just going to some of Gary Vee's amazing points. He says being 100% authentic. If you're authentic from the start, I think that will set you as someone who's real, not fake. And you don't have to necessarily, I know there's that great expression, fake it till you make it. There is some truth in that through perception.
Yeah.
Totally. But I think also people like to see authenticity.
Right.
And they like to know, okay, that you may not be there necessarily there yet, but they like to see your journey, right? And they resonate more with you. Yeah. And I think they almost cheer you on even more when you get to certain goals.
Yeah.
Right? So being authentic can also kind of help you steer clear of being found at that sketchy spot, Like
right.
If you were sketchy to begin with, be authentic enough that it's not going to be a problem, later on. The podcasting too, it's, we have here a pretty professional setting. You don't need all of these bells and whistles. You don't need, the padding that we've got here. You don't need, the Rodecaster Pro, the Shure mics.
Right.
You can really just get an app through Anchor.com or Zoom, record your video through Zoom. And now, obviously, this is going to help. The audio quality and all that stuff has a huge impact as well. But just to get started, you don't need all of these bells and whistles. You can go to Anchor, you can go to Zoom, record yourself, post it onto YouTube. You know how to get the channel art through Canva. Take out the audio. You can post it onto Buzzsprout, and then you're hitting all these different channels. And then through later.com, you upload everything, and and then you'll see how things will exponentially grow from that. Naturally and organically. But also the key takeaway should also be that you have to have patience in this, social media game. It's a long-term play. You're not going to be an influencer, overnight. And I don't think really necessarily the goal should be to be an influencer. I think the goal should just be to consistently crank out educational content that is helping people. And people are getting to see who you are right off the bat. Like you said, it's a way to efficiently scale you as a brand, you as an individual, and not have to have so many different encounters with people. Let's say in a day you're probably meeting 6 or 7 people. Well, this is a great way to be in front of thousands of people on a daily basis, and they can already see whether or not they want to work with you, don't want to work with you, if they vibe with you, and it's just it's scalability, right? So, that's why you want to do it at the end of the day. And doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your income bracket, doesn't matter anything. I mean, everyone should be doing social media. My dad just actually started his YouTube channel. Last week. Yeah, he was in his 60s, and he just started putting his English courses on there, and it was one of the easiest things. I showed him how to use Canva, and now he's on it.
Oh wow!
So again, it's super easy. It doesn't matter the age. That you're in.
Yeah, and there's there's a thing for everyone.
Right.
Like if you're, I don't know, making leather wallets or something. I'm sure there's someone out there that's interested in leather wallets and how it's made. So
there is a niche for everything.
There is. You just got to find the hole in the market for it.
Yeah.
But that's the key.
Yeah, it's even like when I was up in Michigan, we were buying some firewood, and I ended up going to some secluded place. I was like, geez, hope I make it out of here alive. And anyway, so super nice guy, and we buy the firewood, and he's like, hey, do you guys mind if I just quickly go live on my iPhone? I'm like, yeah, go for it. He's like, yeah, well, in addition to selling firewood, I've got my YouTube channel.
Oh.
I'm like, really? Well, yeah. He's like, I'm Firewood Chuck or something.
What a name.
Yeah. I said, okay, well, hey, Firewood Chuck, yeah, let it rip. So he goes live, literally in a matter of minutes, thousands of views all over the world. You had people in Russia, people in Italy, Africa. I mean, everywhere. Every continent was covered. Hey, Firewood Chuck, we love what you're doing. And I'm looking at this guy just, cutting some logs in his backyard. And I'm like, I cannot believe, just so really, anyone can do it. I mean, this guy was out in the middle of nowhere,
right,
cutting firewood, and he had like hundreds of thousands of subscribers. So again, you don't have to be fancy. Right. You can do it right off your phone. You can use really your iPhone or your phone today can really just do it all. So yeah, Loc, I want to thank you so much for being on the show, and we're gonna actually continue doing this. In fact, I think we're gonna continue these great conversations.
Yeah,
and
we'll start a new series.
We're gonna start a new series. Today is the official day that we start a new series. Call it episode 1 of the new series.
We don't have a name for it.
We'll have a name for it eventually. Yeah. So please, as always, if you've liked what you've heard, hit that like button, ring the bell, comment below, and again, just want to thank you all for continually tuning in. And Loc, any last words?
Start today.
Start today.
Because like a year from now, you'll be like, oh, maybe I should have started last year or something.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take any crazy skills, or, you know, you don't have to go to get a degree to start this or anything. You could literally, whatever you're doing, like, just kind of just started, you know? So it doesn't hurt. Even if you don't have a brand, a business or anything, I guess it'll be practice for when you do.
Yeah, most people don't even go to the videos, you know, your day one video. You know, most of it is just practice.
Yeah, they'll go to it like 10 years from now. They'll be like, oh, wow, this is where you started.
Well, right.
So,
yeah, but they'll love to see that, right?
Yeah.
They'll love to see that transition and like, okay, where you're at today. And yeah.
It'll be like a documentary he kind of just made. So
I would suggest everyone right now, just literally, if you don't have a YouTube channel, just, you know, set it up, you know, set up a Gmail account, you go to YouTube, create your channel, post anything, just to do it, just to get that momentum going right now. Mm-hmm. It'll only take you 10 minutes. Post it, and then if you want, go to Canva, go to YouTube, cover art, you know, put down, you know, your name, so your name show. If you can't come up with anything else creative, like the Jon Gil podcast show didn't really take me too long to come up with. But, you know, just create that for now, just to see how easy that is. Upload it, upload your thumbnail art, and you'll get a feel for how easy that really is. And then there you go. And then it'll just be momentum built from there.
Right.
So awesome. Loc, if anyone wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way they can reach you?
Just look in the description, but AUM That's El3ment Studios.com. And that's the same thing on Instagram, El3ment Studios.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Awesome, man. Well, it's been great. And thanks again, everyone. Please subscribe, hit that like button. Thanks.